ask
some questions.
I'll try and answer if I can.
Yeah.
I've got a bad foot, so be careful when I kneel down. This morning we're going to put out our tomato plants into the beds in the greenhouse. You can see they're quite substantial plants now, and they're ready for potting on. See the roots are coming, already starting to root into the compost. They've been stood on there a couple of days. They're already starting to root through. So what I'm going to do is we're going to do some companion planting. So we're going to put some plants in with the tomatoes to help them deter pests or withstand pests. So the first thing I'm going to do is pop in this tomato. This one's called Queen of Night. It's a black fruited variety. So I'm just going to dig a decent hole. So this is peat-free compost. It's had a bit of topsoil added to it as well, just to help with the retaining of moisture. The tomatoes like to be sort of damp most of the time, only at the roots. They don't like to be wet on the foliage. So when you do water them down at the roots. So what I'm going to do is just check that that's deep enough, and that's not deep enough, because what I want to do is plant this tomato plant, as with all of them, slightly deeper than they are in this pot, because the tomato plant will root from the stem. So it's got a couple of little leaves there. I'm just going to take those off. I'm just not pulling them up, not pulling them down, just pulling them to the side, and they'll just come cleanly away. And I'm going to bury this one just another inch deeper up to that first set of leaves. So I'm going to have to dig the hole a bit deeper. You can go deeper with them if you want, but I think for this one it'll be fine. So the soil's good. As I say, it's been improved with a bit of garden topsoil just to help with the drainage. There we go. Just check that again. Pop your pot in. That's perfect. So I'm just going to tap that out. So you just hold it like that. Tip your plant upside down, and then without trying to damage any roots, you can see it's ready for potting on, because the roots are starting to go around the pot, but we've got roots coming through, so I'm not even going to disturb that. I'm just going to pop that straight in up to the cane I've got in there, and then backfill it with the compost. So that should be perfect. Just firm it in slightly. Again, you don't need to be too rough, just making sure it's got good contact with the soil in there. So I'm going to pop all these 3 tomatoes in first. So again, this one's a little bit taller. What I am looking for as well is if there's any side shoots growing. Now your side shoots come between your leaf and the stem, so it would come just in there. This one's getting flowers on. Now the flowers tend to come in between the leaf, where the leaf joins the stem, and the next leaf. And as you can see, they're on opposite sides of the leaves, so your flower would probably be there.
Right.
We've got one coming up here, look, that one there.
Oh yeah.
I know, you see the side shoots there coming between
Oh yeah.
the leaf and the stem. They're the things. All you need to do is, it's a bit small, that one, a bit fiddly for me, but just pull it to one side and it'll come out in your hand.
Yeah.
And that stops that growing, because that growth will take away the energy from the stem.
Yeah.
And it'll also take energy away from making fruit.
Yeah.
Right, so we've got the tomatoes in. Before I water them, what I'm going to do is put some companion plants in with them. So we're going to put a variety of marigold in called Naughty Marietta. Now this is my favourite marigold. It grows about 18 inches tall. And I'm only going to put 3 plants in. But the reason I'm putting the marigolds in with the tomatoes is that whitefly don't like the smell of marigolds, so it deters them from coming into your greenhouse. And also, there's a theory that it stops something called a root knot disease, which affects tomatoes, so it can prevent that as well. That's the theory anyway. So just got 3 plants, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to put them the glass side of the tomato because they like the sun.
Right.
And because I'm going to put the basil the inside of the greenhouse side, because they like a little bit of shade. They like the heat, the basil does, but it also likes a bit of shade. So there is a bit of method to my madness. So I'm just going to pop 3 marigolds in there, and as I say, that should deter, because of its scent, the whitefly. The other thing it does as well, because it has a flower on it, it attracts things like hoverflies and lacewings, and they come, and parasitic wasps as well, and they come and they'll eat any bugs that are in here. So they're part of the food chain. So hopefully we'll not see any pests this year. There's never any guarantee, but that's the idea of companion planting.
Can you do this outside if you haven't got a greenhouse?
Yes, but you might need to look at the variety of tomato that you grow, because there are some that are very tender and there are some that will grow it probably better outside. Things like Moneymaker probably is a good one to grow outside. But the simple answer is yes, you could grow any of them outside depending on the summer we get. If you have them on a south facing wall, somewhere sheltered out of the breeze, you will need to support them like we've got here. I've erected a support system for them, and we are going to try and grow these right up over the top of the greenhouse. Because as I say, because these are indeterminate cordon varieties, which will grow and grow and grow whatever the season's right. The other thing about it is as well, you're attracting a bit of wildlife into your greenhouse, but you're also going to get the pleasure of seeing the flowers as well. Yeah. And the thing about popping the basil in, you're going to get another crop. And basil likes the same conditions as tomatoes. It likes the same nutrients, the same level of water. So they're a good companion. And obviously, tomato and basil on a plate when you're eating it is classic. Yeah. Now the thing about the basil is, when you buy it in a shop, you buy the little pots of them, similar size to that sort of thing, and it might have 15 or 20 plants in it. And you'll find that as you pick it and it comes again and then it'll fade. There's only 3 plants in that pot, so these plants might grow this high.
Right.
So when you're ready to, when it gets about 6 inches high, I'd take the growing tip out. So all you're pinching out, oops, is that little tip there. So as it gets a bit bigger, it has a little growing tip in it. You cut that out just below the top 2 leaves. The side shoots will come and you'll get even more basil then. So you're getting more for your space. And it will bush out and you'll be able to pick it several times. And because it's in a bed and it's being looked after, it should last you quite a while through the season. The other thing about basil as well, now I've got it to this stage, I will set some more seed. So it's a progression of crop. So, but I wouldn't put it straight in to replace these, because they'll have taken the nutrients that it needs. So you need to plant it somewhere else or grow it in a bigger pot. So you might have these 3 little plants in a pot that size or bigger, just so it's getting the nutrients it needs. But it's worth it, because I mentioned shop bought pots of basil, which is nice, don't get me wrong, it's better than the stuff that you have that's been cut that's in a plastic bag. And it's more environmentally friendly because you're using it more. But the flavour of these will be 2 times stronger than what you buy in a supermarket. And you just pick it when you need it as well. The scent of the basil again will put off white fly and that sort of thing. So, and I like the smell of basil. So every time I come in here through the summer, all I'll do is I'll just do that. And that's all you need to do. And you'll get the scent. Same with the marigolds, I might just waft them about a bit. But just so that I keep the scent going. So that's gone in there. The things not to plant with tomatoes, it's not everything goes well together. Things like brassicas, they don't like to be in the same beds as brassicas. Also potatoes, which are a member of the nightshade family, which is what the tomatoes are. Because they're in the same family, they like the same conditions, they like the same nutrients. So they'll fight against one another, compete. They'll grow, but they'll compete against one another. Whereas these, they like the same nutrients, but they're not going to compete to the same extent. So that's it. That should be good. I'll give that a watering in. I will feed it once a week, probably on a Friday. Feeding Friday, as Monty Don says. Again, it's about using the right feed. We use sea feed to get the plants going and green them up. We've used foundation as well to get them to this stage, and they look really, really healthy plants. Fantastic root systems on them. So as the tomatoes grow, try and keep the leaves as dry as possible. I have got a little bit on the bottom leaves because you can't really avoid it, but the top, the crown especially, keep that dry, and that again avoids certain diseases. Keep your watering constant through the season, because that can prevent blossom end drop, which is just a little black scab that comes underneath the tomatoes.
Yep.
Keep it ventilated. They like to be warm, but they don't like to be damp. So if you keep your doors open, your vents open,